Alright guys, and welcome back to the Don's channel. I am the Donfather and I've got something really good for you today. This video is entitled The Most Elite Special Forces in the World, but what way will they be ranked? And credit for this video goes to the Infographics Show. I've seen a little bit of their stuff and they do seem quite knowledgeable, and it will be a fair assessment, I think. I don't know because I've not seen the video. But they do seem quite clued into stuff, so I'm hoping that this is an honest reflection of the order of the most elite special forces in the world. So anyway, no more talking, let's go.
Almost all countries have a special elite unit of soldiers that have been trained both physically and mentally to fight enemies when the job is a bridge too far for regular soldiers. Months of grueling training, which is too much for most aspiring elite soldiers, also teaches them to endure and withstand punishment and torture. We don't know many of these elite soldiers because for the most part what they do remains a secret, and with it their identity. They work in the background for much of the time and only occasionally do the public hear of their missions. They provide their own citizens with security, but for their enemies they are ghosts to be feared. Today we'll look at the best of them in this episode of the Infographics Show, Most Elite Special Forces in the World. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell button so that you can be part of our notification squad. Number 9. SSG Pakistan. Also known as the Black Storks, the Special Services Group was formed in 1956. They assist the army in numerous conflicts and military operations, as well as serve the country in countering terrorism. The training is grueling, but that's a given for this list. You can join this band of soldiers only if you have at least 2 years experience in the Pakistani Armed Forces. Training takes 9 months and includes such things as a 36-mile march in just 24 hours. With Pakistan's borders always on high alert, these are some very courageous soldiers that, unlike some units on this list, are in danger throughout much of their careers. Number 8. GSG-9, Germany. One might think that compared to SSG, Germany's Grenzschutzgruppe 9 is not very busy. But as a police tactical unit, they are involved with matters not so much concerning protecting borders, but stepping in when the job is too big for the police. This might include terrorism, but also kidnapping and extortion. Their last known mission, for instance, was the 2016 mass shooting in Munich. They've even been involved in taking down Hell's Angels. They may not have the most rigorous training on this list, but as a special police unit, they are hard to beat. Number 7. Marcos, India. The Marine Commando Force is India's version of the US's Navy SEALs or the UK's SBS. Their motto is, the few, the fearless. They deal with anything from counter-terrorism to fighting pirates and operations underwater. In 2015, the India Times gave 15 reasons why this Special Forces outfit was the best in the world, although the evidence was no more compelling than a few other units on this list could provide. They do have a very difficult 2 to 3 year training period, as it's a continuous process, and apparently 80% of trainees drop out early. It includes 5 weeks of hell, according to the Times, consisting of long marches, sleep deprivation, and arms training. If they pass that, they then do their parachute and diving training. As India has all the perfect spots for intense training, Marcos spend a lot of time being thrown into the jungle and left on mountains. One Marcos said he did the Navy SEALs course with ease during an exchange program. Number 6. Delta Force. The USA's Delta Force is a special unit of the Army that deals mostly with hostage rescue and counter-terrorism. It was actually formed for that in the 1970s following a slew of terrorist attacks. The unit is relatively small with just 1,000 soldiers, around 300 of whom are trained for direct action. Recruits are taken from the military when they have enough experience, and as it's a very secretive unit, recruits have to get past many security checks and must also have never incurred a court-martial. You also have to pass a series of physical tests, such as hikes with a 40-pound backpack, and also be able to run 2 miles and swim 100 meters fully clothed. It doesn't sound as grueling as the SEALs, but trainees will also be pushed to their psychological limits under interrogations. Number 5. Alpha Group, Russia. Of course, Russia has an excellent special forces unit with such a powerful military. The Alpha Group is what the name says, the best soldiers in all of Russia. Created by the KGB in 1974, the unit helps with police matters but also with military matters. This might relate to terrorism, hostage-taking, and covert operations in and outside the country. One such internal operation included the 1983 hijacking of Airflot Flight 6833, which unfortunately resulted in the loss of life of 5 hostages, but also the capture and killing of the hijackers. They were also heavily involved with the Soviet war in Afghanistan. Training lasts 3 years, and you must be between 22 and 27 years old to start. They only want the smartest soldiers, so you must have a university education to join. You'll then have to pass a series of physical tests, and also diving, sniper operations, parachuting, and martial arts. Number 4, SBS. The Special Boat Service is the UK's wet version of the SAS
I'm
and
not
has
having
similarities to the Navy SEALs. Like the
Wait for
SAS, it was
comments at the
formed
end.
during World War II as a special covert unit often working behind enemy
My
lines.
word.
The training is quite similar to that of the SAS, although obviously recruits have much more challenging training in the water. In fact, according to an elite forces website in the UK, SBS soldiers believe they are better trained because the ocean is a much more challenging environment than land. The counter-argument is that the SAS are more involved in conflicts and are better funded, so they are put to much more use. Number 3, Sayeret Matkal, Israel. Otherwise known as the
Mossad.
General Staff Reconnaissance Unit 269, this Special Forces unit, like the SAS, spends much of its time
I can
behind
agree with
enemy
them,
lines.
yeah.
In fact, it shares the same motto of who dares, wins. It was formed in the 1950s, and the
After
small
the
unit
Second World
consisted
War.
of hand-picked men who were not just physically strong, but showed superior
Intelligence.
intelligence to other soldiers. Recruitment camp itself is reported as hell, with the young men going through intense physical training without much sleep. If they get through that, secondary training lasts for almost 2 years. This will consist of large and small arms training, navigation and reconnaissance, martial arts, and an insanely long 75-mile march. After that, they will specialize in one or more skills. Number 2, US Navy SEALs. The SEALs are renowned for breaking people, and as you will know from our show on this unit, very few people actually make it through the training. Not only that, just in the last few years there have been instances of deaths occurring during recruitment, which have occurred in the training pool and elsewhere. In fact, in 2016 it was reported that the 9 deaths during training from 2013 to 2016 was more than happened in actual combat. Although we should say that these were not only due to training, but the consequences of the stresses of going through it. Recruits experience a personal hell, literally, as the worst of the training is called Hell Week. This is when most people drop out. If you do manage to get through it all, there is no doubt you are one tough cookie. You'll also
agree
have
with
some
that.
of the best military acumen in the world. Number 1, British SAS. You may be wondering why we are putting the
100%.
SAS above the SEALs, a unit that has seen its fair share of deaths during training. The difference is the SAS has a more vigorous, some might say torturous, mental training. The physical training seems as difficult as the SEALs training, and you are expected to navigate through jungles in Belize and Borneo, as well as make your way out of mountain ranges carrying a heavy backpack and weapons. This is where the deaths occurred recently. But there is something even more brutal, and that is the psychological training of the SAS. Veterans have said you might get injured doing the physical stuff, but when the trainers get into your head, many people cannot stand this. It will include humiliation techniques, being held in stress positions,
I've seen
getting
quite a
no
bit of
sleep
it.
or food or water, having music blasted at you, and even being locked in small cages. The sadistic Brits, eh? Another thing about the SAS is that you work closely with MI5 and MI6, which basically makes you both a soldier and a spy.
intelligence.
So, based on everything you heard about these elite special forces units, which do you think is the best? Let us know in the comments. Also, be sure to check out our other video called American Soldier versus British Soldier. Thanks for watching,
I might
and
actually
as
check
always,
that
don't
one
forget
out as
to
well,
like, share, and
American
subscribe.
Soldier.
See you next time.
Versus British Soldier. That was a good video. I don't agree with it. 100%. I do agree with it. In general terms, there's most of the elite forces there on that list. I would probably put there myself. I would have thought, maybe based on numbers alone, that Delta Force would have been either up there with Navy SEALs or better than. The reason why I say that is because they're always if you're going to say Navy SEALs, SBS aren't doing as much military operations on land as what you would see with the SAS, then you've got to put Delta Force in there, surely. That's quite confusing to me. So, based on that, I always thought Delta Force would have had more sort of been fought in more conflict zones than Navy SEALs. As I said though, I'm not 100% sure on the American Special Forces stuff. However, you cannot put, for starters, got Mossad in there from Israel, which is 100% should be up there in the top 3-4 special forces in the world, without a doubt, and the amount of fighting they'll see all the time is just incredible, given the location of where they sit in the Middle East, and they don't have many friends around that area in the world, do they? It's the point here is number one, 100% I agree that the British SAS is unrivaled. I mean, in my opinion, I can't even see how it could be close. Anybody could come close to the SAS, given how long they've been how long they've been formed. Was it 1940 something? From David E. Sterling. There's a man, Paddy Blair Men, you need to check him out. He was an Ulster man from Northern Ireland. Some of his honours that he had received in the Second World War is frightening. This man is an absolute legend, an intelligent 100%. but David E's still in a Scots Guard, started the SAS, I think it was in the early 1940s, and they are, in my opinion, the elite of the elite, the best of the best. There's no doubt about that. I can't even, my brain will not be able to even acknowledge that there is a debate in that. But this is the problem I have with this video. How can you put SAS number 1 and not have SBS joint first or second? There's absolutely no chance on planet Earth that Navy SEALs can be above SBS if SAS are number 1, given the fact that the training is nigh on identical. The selection process, the interrogation process, the jungle training, the naval, like sea-based training, because they're from a marine background rather than a special air service from kind of a parachute regiment background. Basically, land and sea, but nearly everything's identical, given I can take into consideration, he says the funding is slightly less with the SBS. I don't know how true that is, but training alone and interrogation alone, if they're saying the interrogation stage is so much more grueling on the minds of these elite soldiers, way more superior to than what the Navy SEALs would endure, how can SBS be beneath it? It's impossible. So Navy SEALs, as great as they are, of course, everybody knows how good the Navy SEALs are. I don't think there's much between them and Delta Force, so that's where I have a problem there in that one as well. So they would be joint in my opinion. But how upon how can SBS and SAS not be joint number 1? That's all I'm saying on that. Too elite. The debate is rife in Britain anyway about who is better, SAS or SBS. I would always probably say SAS anyway, based on the fact of their history and how much conflict zones and things, operational tours that they'll be on. And indeed, SBS are on them as well. You just don't hear about it. There's information that you'll get drip fed, and then there's information you're just not allowed to know. But SAS are renowned, aren't they? And on that, I agree with them being number 1. Good video. There is debate there, 100%. I'm sure you've got your own opinions as well. My opinion is my opinion, but I just can't fathom in my head how it can be any other way if you take into consideration what he said. Of course, he's going to have to put an American above SBS. He's going to have to put Americans above that Navy SEALs. It's an American video, but it's impossible in my opinion. Anyway, if you've got anything else you'd like to see me reacting to, I want to add one thing. He did say that there's an American Army versus British Army. I know a little bit about this stuff, and every army near enough on the planet Earth is trained on the British way of doing stuff, British tactics. Their training is more superior than anybody else on the planet when it comes to military. You just need to look at the history of everything to realise that. And everyone uses these ways the British would have done it. I know that for a fact. They might have their own spin on it, but the gist is it's British training that people model themselves on. So on that video, I would be surprised if he put British Army below American Army. As well, if he did, again, it's an American video, and you could look at me and say British, that's your opinion. So I'll look into that as well. All in all, great video, really enjoyed, good information, really good information. I quite like the stuff on Mossad, the Indian stuff, also the SSG, is it, from Pakistan, really good stuff there, and also the German police side of things. Yes, they're getting to see a lot more action on the streets in Europe, given the rise in terrorism in Europe. So of course they're going to have to deal with a lot more things than they would have had to in days gone by. But if anybody's got anything else you'd like to see me reacting to, please feel free to drop a comment in the section below. And don't forget, guys, subscribe to the Don's channel, because we're going to be bringing you loads of cool stuff, loads of different types of stuff from around the world, and you don't want to miss it. Thanks for watching. I am the Donfather. Peace to everyone. Respect and goodbye.